Based on the historical data and forecast, Bitcoin has shown volatility with a general downward trend recently. The RSI indicates oversold conditions on October 10th and 11th, with readings of 38.5 and 46.8 respectively. Currently, the RSI is trending upwards, suggesting a potential reversal. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, indicating increased volatility. The price is currently near the lower band, which suggests a potential bounce. Therefore, I recommend a contrarian strategy focusing on short-term gains. My strategy is to buy Bitcoin at $110,800, placing a stop-loss at $109,000 to limit potential losses. The initial target price will be $114,000, aiming to capitalize on a potential bounce from the lower Bollinger Band and RSI oversold conditions. If the price reaches $114,000, I will move the stop-loss to the break-even point, around $110,800, to secure profits and further participate in an upward trend. If the price continues to rise, I will set a second target price at $116,000. This strategy combines RSI and Bollinger Bands to identify potential entry and exit points, managing risk with a tight stop-loss and adjusting the position as the trend develops. Based on the historical data and forecast, Ethereum has shown significant volatility. The RSI indicates periods of oversold and overbought conditions, while the Bollinger Bands suggest potential price breakouts. Considering the recent downtrend and the forecast predicting a continued decline initially, I recommend a contrarian strategy focusing on potential rebounds. Specifically, when the RSI falls below 35, indicating an oversold condition, we will enter a long position at $4,070. A stop-loss will be placed at $3,880, just below the established support level, to limit potential losses. The initial target price will be $4,200, aligning with the forecast and a potential bounce from the oversold territory. To refine this strategy, we will incorporate the Bollinger Bands. If the price touches the lower band while the RSI is oversold, it strengthens the buy signal. For example, on October 22, 2025, the forecast price is $4,070, and the price is near the lower band. We enter a long position at $4,070, with a stop-loss at $3,880 and a target price of $4,200. If the price reaches the upper Bollinger Band while the RSI is below 80, we will consider taking profits or moving the stop-loss to break even. This combined RSI and Bollinger Bands approach aims to capitalize on short-term rebounds while managing risk effectively. Based on the historical data and forecast, BNB shows a generally upward trend, bouncing between the support of $1,110 and the resistance of $1,300. The RSI fluctuates, dipping below 50 on October 10, indicating potential oversold conditions, and frequently reaching above 70, suggesting overbought territory. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, indicating increased volatility. Considering the recent upward momentum and the forecast prices hovering around $1,250 to $1,290, a long position is warranted. I recommend entering a long position at $1,250, with a stop-loss placed just below the lower Bollinger Band at $1,230 to mitigate risk. The initial target price should be set at the recent resistance level of $1,300. To refine the strategy, we'll incorporate the RSI and Bollinger Band signals. If the price retraces to around $1,250 and the RSI is below 50, it's a strong buy signal. If the price touches the upper Bollinger Band and the RSI is above 80, consider taking partial profits at $1,280 and moving the stop-loss to break even. If the price breaks through $1,300, a second target price of $1,320 can be set. This layered approach allows for capturing gains while managing risk effectively. The most efficient portfolio would be a combination of these strategies, prioritizing the long position with adjusted targets and stop losses based on RSI and Bollinger Band signals. Based on the historical data and forecast, XRP has shown considerable volatility with a recent downtrend. The RSI consistently dipped below 30, indicating oversold conditions, particularly on October 10 and 11, with readings of 26.2 and 26.2. The forecast prices for the next week suggest a continued consolidation around $2.4 to $2.5. Considering the support level at $2.38 and the recent oversold RSI readings, I recommend a long position entry at $2.41. To mitigate risk, set a stop loss at $2.38, right at the support level. A reasonable target price would be $2.61, the recent resistance level, offering a potential gain of $0.20. To refine this strategy, we'll incorporate the Bollinger Bands. When the price touches the lower band, it suggests a potential buying opportunity. The forecast suggests XRP will remain near the lower Bollinger Band, reinforcing our long position. Therefore, the final portfolio will be a long position with an entry at $2.41, a stop loss at $2.38, and a target price at $2.61. This strategy leverages the oversold RSI and the Bollinger Bands to identify potential buying opportunities within a volatile market, aiming for a balanced risk-reward profile. Based on the historical data and forecast, Solana has shown significant volatility with periods of both upward and downward trends. The price recently tested the support level of $193 and rebounded, but the RSI has fluctuated, indicating indecision. Considering the forecast for the next week, the price is expected to hover around $200 to $210. Therefore, I propose a combined strategy incorporating RSI and Bollinger Bands to capitalize on potential price movements. We will implement a long position when the RSI dips below 35, indicating an oversold condition, and the price touches the lower Bollinger Band. Specifically, we will enter a long position at $203 when the RSI falls below 35 and the price hits the lower Bollinger Band. Our stop loss will be set at $193, just below the established support level, to protect against potential losses if the price continues to decline. The initial target price will be $208, aligning with the recent resistance level. If the price reaches $208, we will then adjust the stop loss to break even, securing our initial investment. A second target price will be $210, based on the forecast data, maximizing potential profits. This strategy balances risk and reward, leveraging technical indicators to identify favorable entry and exit points while incorporating support and resistance levels for added confirmation. Based on the historical data and forecast, TRON shows a slightly downward trend with fluctuating volatility. The RSI consistently hovers around the mid-range, indicating neither strong bullish nor bearish momentum. However, the forecast prices suggest a potential stabilization around $0.32. Considering the support price of $0.314 and the resistance of $0.332, I recommend a cautious long strategy. We will enter a long position at $0.324, placing a stop-loss order at $0.314 to protect against downside risk. The initial target price will be $0.332, aiming to capture a short-term upward movement towards the resistance level. To refine the strategy, we incorporate the Bollinger Bands. When the price touches the lower band, it suggests a potential oversold condition, which aligns with our long entry point. If the price breaks below the lower band, it signals a stronger bearish trend, triggering our stop loss. Conversely, if the price reaches the upper band, it indicates an overbought condition, suggesting a potential short-term reversal. If the price reaches $0.332, we will move the stop loss to the center of the Bollinger Bands at $0.333 to secure profits and limit further losses. This adaptive strategy combines RSI and Bollinger Bands to maximize potential returns while effectively managing risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, Dogecoin has shown significant volatility. The RSI has fluctuated considerably, dipping below 30 on October 10 and 11, indicating oversold conditions, and peaking above 50 throughout the period. The Bollinger Bands have widened, suggesting increased price volatility. The forecast prices for the next week indicate a sideways trend with slight upward pressure, hovering around $0.21. Considering these factors, I recommend a strategy combining RSI and Bollinger Bands to capitalize on potential rebounds. My strategy involves a long position when the RSI falls below 30, signaling an oversold condition, and the price touches the lower Bollinger Band. For example, on October 11, 2025, the RSI was 31.5 and the price was $0.196. Enter a long position at $0.196, with a stop loss set just below the support level at $0.185. The initial target price is set at the middle of the Bollinger Bands, which was $0.233 on October 15, 2025. If the price reaches this target, consider moving the stop loss to break even. If the RSI rises above 80, indicating overbought conditions, and the price touches the upper Bollinger Band, consider taking profits and exiting the position. This strategy aims to capture short-term price rebounds from oversold conditions while managing risk with well-defined stop loss and target levels. Based on the historical data and forecast, Cardano has shown significant volatility, with a recent dip followed by some recovery. The RSI consistently remained below 50, indicating a generally weak momentum. However, the forecast suggests a slight upward trend, with prices hovering around $0.7. Considering these factors, I recommend a cautious long position strategy. We will enter a long position at $0.698, placing a stop loss order at $0.632, which is the established support level. Our initial target price will be $0.73, the recent resistance level. This strategy aims to capitalize on the potential short-term upward movement while mitigating risk with a defined stop loss. To refine the strategy, we'll incorporate the Bollinger Bands. The price is currently near the bottom band, suggesting a potential bounce. If the price breaks above the center band of $0.789, we'll adjust the target price to $0.716, aligning with the forecast. Conversely, if the price fails to surpass the center band and approaches the lower Bollinger Band again, we will maintain the stop loss at $0.632. This adaptive approach allows us to adjust our position based on real-time market dynamics and the effectiveness of the Bollinger Bands, aiming for a high return with controlled risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, Wrapped Beacon ETH has shown considerable volatility with a recent downward trend. The RSI consistently dipped below 50, indicating a potential oversold condition, especially with readings as low as 33.2 on October 11, 2025. The Bollinger Bands also suggest periods of contraction and expansion, indicating potential breakout opportunities. Considering the forecast for October 16 to October 22, 2025, which predicts prices around $45.20 to $45.40, I recommend a long position entry at $4,390 with a stop loss at $4,300, just below the recent low. The initial target price should be $4,540, aligning with the forecast high and the upper Bollinger Band. If the price breaks through $4,540, a second target price of $4,560 can be considered. To refine this strategy, we'll incorporate RSI signals. When the RSI falls below 30, indicating an oversold condition, we enter a long position. When the RSI exceeds 70, suggesting an overbought condition, we exit the position. Combining this with Bollinger Bands, we'll look for a long entry when the price touches the lower band and the RSI is below 30. For example, on October 15, 2025, the price was $4,300, the RSI was 43.2, and the lower Bollinger Band was $4,000. We can enter a long position at $4,000 with a stop loss at $3,900 and a target price of $4,540. This combined strategy leverages both momentum and volatility indicators for enhanced risk management and potentially higher returns. Based on the historical data and forecast, Chainlink has shown considerable volatility, with a recent downtrend and a current trading range between $17.2 and $19.9. The RSI consistently dips below 40, indicating oversold conditions, while the Bollinger Bands suggest potential for price reversals. Considering the forecast prices hovering around $18.6 to $19.7, I recommend a contrarian strategy focused on capitalizing on short-term bounces. Specifically, when the RSI falls below 30, which occurred on October 13 and 14, initiate a long position at $18.1. Set a stop loss at $17.2, just below the established support level, to mitigate potential losses. A reasonable target price would be $19.9, aligning with the recent resistance. To refine this strategy, incorporate the Bollinger Bands. When the price touches the lower band, it signals a potential buying opportunity. For example, on October 15th, the price touched the lower Bollinger Band of $17.3. In this case, enter a long position at $18.1, with a stop loss at $17.2 and a target price of $19.9. This combined RSI and Bollinger Bands approach offers a higher probability of success by confirming signals from both indicators. The portfolio will be 60% of the capital allocated to the combined RSI and Bollinger Band strategy, and 40% allocated to the RSI strategy. Based on the historical data and forecast, Quant demonstrates a volatile trend with periods of both upward and downward momentum. The RSI consistently dips below 40, indicating oversold conditions, particularly on October 11th and 12th, reaching 33.9 and 37.9 respectively. The Bollinger Bands show that the price has been fluctuating within a range, with recent price action approaching the lower band, suggesting a potential for a bounce. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position entry at $87.3, coinciding with the forecast price on October 16th and aligning with the lower Bollinger Band. A stop loss should be set at $84.7, just below the established support level, to mitigate potential losses. The target price for this long position is set at $97.2, the resistance level, aiming to capture a significant upward move. This strategy leverages the oversold RSI and the support from the lower Bollinger Band to capitalize on a potential rebound. The predicted forecast data for the next week shows a slight downward trend initially, before stabilizing, which supports the initial stop loss and allows for a potential price recovery towards the resistance. This position is designed for a moderate risk tolerance and aims for a high return by exploiting short-term market volatility and capitalizing on the anticipated bounce from the support level. Based on the historical data and forecast, Kaia demonstrates a downtrend with significant volatility. The RSI consistently dips below 30 for a considerable period, indicating an oversold condition, particularly on October 15, 2025, with a reading of 30.4. The Bollinger Bands show a contraction, suggesting a potential breakout. The forecast for the next week predicts continued downward pressure, hovering around $0.11. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position strategy capitalizing on the potential bounce from the oversold level and support price. The entry price should be $0.109, coinciding with the forecast price on October 22, 2025, and the support price of $0.103. A stop loss should be placed at $0.0993, just below the bottom of the Bollinger Bands on October 15, 2025, to mitigate potential losses if the downtrend continues. The target price should be $0.119, the resistance level, aiming for a quick profit. This strategy combines RSI oversold signals, Bollinger Bands contraction, and support level confluence for a high probability, short-term trade. Based on the historical data and forecast, Bitcoin Cash has shown a declining trend with significant volatility. The RSI consistently dipped below 50, reaching a low of 31.3 on October 13, 2025, indicating an oversold condition. The forecast for the next week projects a continued sideways movement with prices fluctuating between $529 and $549. Considering the oversold RSI and the Bollinger Bands contraction, a strategic entry point would be at $535. A stop-loss order should be placed at $522 to mitigate potential losses if the price continues to decline. The initial target price should be set at $545, aiming to capitalize on a potential bounce from the oversold condition and a test of the recent resistance level. To refine this strategy, we will incorporate a dynamic approach using the RSI and Bollinger Bands. If the price reaches $545 and the RSI exceeds 70, indicating an overbought condition, we should consider taking profits and exiting the position. Conversely, if the price falls to $529 and the RSI falls below 20, indicating a stronger oversold condition, we could consider adding to our position with a lower entry price. A tighter stop loss at $515 should be considered if we add to our position. The ultimate target price would be $599, aligning with the recent high, but this should be re-evaluated based on market conditions and further technical analysis. Based on the historical data and forecast, Worldcoin shows a declining trend with significant volatility. The price has been fluctuating between the support of $0.901 and the resistance of $1.01. The RSI indicates oversold conditions on several days, particularly around October 10th and 11th, with readings below 35. The Bollinger Bands suggest periods of increased volatility and potential reversals. Considering the forecast for the next week, which predicts a price hovering around $1, a cautious approach is warranted. I recommend a strategy focused on short-term swings, capitalizing on the volatility while mitigating downside risk. My recommended strategy is a combination of RSI and Bollinger Band signals. We will initiate a long position when the RSI dips below 30, signaling an oversold condition, and the price touches the lower Bollinger Band. Specifically, let's enter a long position at $1.01 on October 22, 2025, when the forecast price is $1.01. To manage risk, place a stop-loss order at $0.932, slightly below the recent low of $0.932. The target price will be set at $1.04, aligning with the forecast price and the upper Bollinger Band. This strategy aims to capture a quick profit from the anticipated rebound, with a defined risk-reward ratio. If the price fails to reach the target and falls below the stop-loss, we will exit the position to minimize losses. Based on the historical data and forecast, Bitcoin has shown volatility with a general downward trend recently. The RSI indicates oversold conditions on October 10th and 11th, with readings of 38.5 and 46.8 respectively. Currently, the RSI is trending upwards, suggesting a potential reversal. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, indicating increased volatility. The price is currently near the lower band, which suggests a potential bounce. Therefore, I recommend a contrarian strategy focusing on short-term gains. My strategy is to buy Bitcoin at $110,800, placing a stop-loss at $109,000 to limit potential losses. The initial target price will be $114,000, aiming to capitalize on a potential bounce from the lower Bollinger Band and RSI oversold conditions. If the price reaches $114,000, I will move the stop-loss to the break-even point, around $110,800, to secure profits and further participate in an upward trend. If the price continues to rise, I will set a second target price at $116,000. This strategy combines RSI and Bollinger Bands to identify potential entry and exit points, managing risk with a tight stop-loss and adjusting the position as the trend develops. Based on the historical data and forecast, Litecoin has shown significant volatility with a recent downtrend. The RSI consistently dipped below 38.9, indicating an oversold condition, and the forecast predicts a continued decline to $107. The price is currently near the support level of $93.3. Considering the recent downward trend, I recommend a contrarian strategy, anticipating a potential bounce. Therefore, I suggest entering a long position at $107, placing a stop-loss order at $98 to limit potential losses if the downtrend continues. The initial target price should be $110, aligning with the center of the Bollinger Bands, which could represent a short-term recovery. To further refine the strategy, I will incorporate the Bollinger Bands. If the price touches the bottom band at $98.1 on October 22, 2025, it could signal a potential reversal. In this scenario, I would enter a long position at $98.1, set a stop-loss at $95.3, and target $110. This approach combines the oversold RSI signal with the Bollinger Bands indicator to confirm a potential trend reversal. This combined strategy offers a balance between risk mitigation and potential reward, capitalizing on the anticipated bounce while protecting against further downside risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, Sun token demonstrates a sideways trend with fluctuating price movements. The RSI consistently hovers around the 50 mark, indicating neither strong bullish nor bearish momentum. The Bollinger Bands show periods of contraction and expansion, suggesting potential volatility. Given this, I propose a combined strategy leveraging RSI and Bollinger Bands for optimal returns. Firstly, we will implement a RSI-based strategy. When the RSI falls below 20, indicating an oversold condition, we will enter a long position at $0.0239. The stop loss will be set at $0.0231, just below the support level, to limit potential losses. The initial target price will be $0.0249, aligning with the recent resistance. Secondly, we will incorporate a Bollinger Band strategy. When the price touches the lower Bollinger Band, it signals a potential buying opportunity. If the forecast price drops to $0.0244, we will enter a long position. The stop loss will be placed at $0.0235, slightly below the lower band. The target price will be set at $0.0246, aiming for a move towards the middle of the Bollinger Bands. Finally, the portfolio will be 60% RSI-based strategy and 40% Bollinger Band strategy to balance risk and reward. This combined approach should capitalize on both momentum shifts and volatility, offering a balanced and potentially high-return investment strategy. Based on the historical data and forecast, Dash exhibits a strong upward trend, supported by consistently breaking through resistance levels and a forecast projecting continued price increases. The RSI consistently exceeded 70, indicating overbought conditions, but the price continued to rise, suggesting strong bullish momentum. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, confirming volatility and potential for further price swings. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position strategy. We will enter a long position at $46.7 with a stop loss set at $45.2, just below the recent low. The initial target price will be $51.2, aligning with the forecast for October 17, 2025. To refine the strategy, we will incorporate a dynamic target price based on the Bollinger Bands. If the price reaches the upper band, currently at $51.8, we will take partial profits and move the stop loss to the middle band, currently at $33.8. This strategy combines the momentum of the upward trend, the confirmation from the forecast, and risk management through stop-loss orders and dynamic target adjustments. This approach aims to maximize profits while minimizing potential losses, capitalizing on the bullish outlook for Dash. Based on the historical data and forecast, TRON shows a slightly downward trend with fluctuating volatility. The RSI consistently hovers around the mid-range, indicating neither strong bullish nor bearish momentum. However, the forecast prices suggest a potential stabilization around $0.32. Considering the support price of $0.314 and a resistance of $0.332, I recommend a cautious long strategy. We will enter a long position at $0.324, placing a stop-loss order at $0.314 to protect against downside risk. The initial target price will be $0.332, aiming to capture a short-term upward movement towards the resistance level. To refine the strategy, we incorporate the Bollinger Bands. When the price touches the lower band, it suggests a potential oversold condition, which aligns with our long entry point. If the price breaks below the lower band, it signals a stronger bearish trend, triggering our stop loss. Conversely, if the price reaches the upper band, it indicates an overbought condition, suggesting a potential short-term reversal. If the price reaches $0.332, we will move the stop loss to the center of the Bollinger Bands at $0.333 to secure profits and limit further losses. This adaptive strategy combines RSI and Bollinger Bands to maximize potential returns while effectively managing risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, PAX Gold exhibits a strong upward trend. The RSI consistently remains above 75, often breaching the 80 threshold, indicating overbought conditions. However, the price continues to climb, suggesting robust buying pressure. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, indicating increased volatility and potential for further price movement. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position strategy. We will enter a long position at $4,240. The initial stop loss will be set at $4,170, just below the recent low, to protect against a potential pullback. The primary target price is $4,550, aligning with the forecast for October 22, 2025. To refine this strategy, we will incorporate RSI and Bollinger Band signals. If the RSI dips below 70, it signals a potential pullback, and we can consider adding to our position at $4,300. The stop loss will be adjusted to $4,200. If the price touches the lower Bollinger Band, it may indicate a buying opportunity. If the price reaches the upper Bollinger Band, we can take partial profits at $4,450 and move the stop loss to break even. This dynamic approach allows us to capitalize on both upward momentum and potential corrections, maximizing returns while managing risk.